Okay, this is an introduction to Axis Empires Ultimate Edition. Now, apologies to anyone who's hoping to follow the OCS Burma. I'm afraid this particular item caught my eye and decided to buy it. It was extremely expensive, which is one of the few factors against it. What I would say, we'll just have a quick review of the game itself as it comes out of the box. As you can see here, it takes up a lot of space. This is a 10 by 4 table, and as you can see, it pretty much fills all the table. And there are there's 3 other charts that are wall mounted. And the play aids and rule books and stuff are right on the edge of the table. It really is a big game. Now, quick comment on the maps. The map's beautiful. They really are nice. It's not particularly thick paper. It's a decent map paper, but they really are the business in terms of the look of them. The counters, nice thick counters, they do clip. Some people have said, is there going to be a problem trying to clip them because they are quite thick, but I haven't had any problems using a 2mm clip on them. The game comes with lots of play aids and stuff like that. There are your force pull cards over there. It is a card-driven game, even though some people would say it isn't. But these cards determine what happens historically. They're not the type of awful card that I hate, where it says this: you apply this card on your opponent's movement phase, and 10 of their units can only move half the movement. I hate games with stuff like that. There's nothing like that. They actually control the entire political and economic and military aspects of the game. Now, what I'm doing with this, some people are going to go heresy when I say I'm actually going to use the historical card draw. The reason for that is I have played this game before, and when I played it, if you're just going to play it free format using any cards that are available, you really do have to know what the cards do. I found that my lack of understanding of the Russian cards took the war down a particular route that I wasn't happy with. So this is why I am intending to play 1937, start both games, and I will be using the historical card draws. Another thing, I haven't decided whether to use the Schiffenkrieg or whatever it is, I can't even pronounce it, module, which adds extra air and naval units to the mix. I'm thinking about that. I probably will use it, as I paid all this money for this game. We look at other things in the game, the rule books, the play aids. There are lots of play aids. These are really good quality card, very good card stock. The manuals are all nice, lots of manuals, full colour. There's lots of clarifications and things in there. Now the manuals are sort of geared towards picking the game up by playing the training scenarios. I've actually got the originals, so I've already played Case White and Case Yellow as training scenarios, just to re-familiarise myself with this game. Some people say the rules are difficult to follow because of that structure, and I agree with them. This rule book is slightly better than the old one, but there's a lot of things that aren't immediately clear, especially to me. I had to watch quite a few videos when I first started this to actually learn how to play this game. But another thing to be wary of, there are lots of videos on YouTube, but didn't. I'm not going to criticise anyone, and I'm not pointing at particular individuals, because to be quite honest, playing a game and filming it is something I'm not brave enough to even attempt. And kudos to the people who try it. Certainly the 4 videos I've watched where people are playing the game and videoing it as he's doing it have all got errors in them. Errors in the setup, errors in the rules. And that's just unfortunate. Just found a weather marker there. Just put that to one side for a second. Other things I would say about this, I've gone for the 1937 setup because I think it's the best way to pick the game up in small bites, because you've got pretty much peace in Europe, apart from you've got the Spanish Civil War, which is going on down here. There's nothing else going on in Europe really at this particular time, and the Japanese are just about to launch their invasion of China. It allows you to, for a start, it's not difficult to set up. This is a big game, but it's an easy setup because there weren't that many military units around at this particular point in time. If you go for a later setup, say you went for 1942 or God forbid 1944, you would find you'd be pretty much overwhelmed by the sheer amount of stuff going on and all the counters and everything. So I wouldn't recommend that as a start. To be quite honest, I would recommend you do the training scenarios. You don't have to do. You're probably best doing the training scenarios from Daisensu, and then start with a 37. Either just plain Daisensu on their own, or do the combined game. That would be my recommendation. And I will also would probably recommend doing the historical card setup as well, because you'll end up in the same, unless you're really okay playing a type of semi-sandbox game, you could find yourself making decisions that you're going to bitterly regret later on. You can get around that. There are little play aids and stuff on Board Game Geek that tell you the impact of all the different cards and how they affect subsequent cards and things like that. I think you'd be a bit ambitious to try that approach, because it certainly didn't work particularly well for me when I did it. I found it an easy enough game to pick up, but the cards did me in, particularly the Soviet card draws. Okay, there is another. You've got lots of rule books. You get your core rules, and then you've got your exclusive game rules. Now, don't panic when you see these exclusive game rules, because they are mainly setups for the scenario, and they're also clarifications of all the political and military events that take place on the cards. It's not a huge extra learning on top of the core rules. The good thing about the core rules this time is they're combined. In the old game, you had Total Agree, but you had to run the 2 manuals next to each other, which wasn't ideal. Right, anything else I can think of before we actually start on this? I haven't found any problems. I believe there is some errata. I'll have to check that up on Board Game Geek or on the website. I haven't noticed anything in the setup that which was ambiguous or problematical at all, which is not always the case with these games, as you know. Right, as I say, I haven't decided whether I'm going to use the air and naval expansion module. I'm obviously not using the other module, which is the Dice of Decision one, which allows you pretty much to run everything from the end of the First World War all the way up to the start of the Second World War, giving you a totally, it's a total sandbox really. You do what you want as far as I can see. And it also gives you alternative setups. You have there's options where the Austro-Hungarian Empire wasn't destroyed, or Germany still remained a monarchy. There's loads and loads of little things. There's even little overlays that are in the game where, because the borders and something or things might be different as a result of these different historical paths, that they change the map board, and that's really, really, really good. Okay, as I say, I'm very impressed with this as a game and as a package. The only thing I would say go against it is the price. It is very expensive. It's probably not so bad in America. Maybe you could have pre-ordered it and got it at a much cheaper price. But it was pre-order from America, so you would have had to throw shipping and tax, VAT tax on that. So it wouldn't have been amazingly cheap for people in Europe to buy anyway. If you want a copy, I believe there are no copies available in the UK at the moment. There might be another one on Second Chance Games, where I bought this one from. There are copies on Board Game Geek within Europe, and obviously there are copies in America, but it's problematical buying from America because of tax and shipping. It's quite a big box, quite a heavy box. I haven't seen any copies on eBay, and as far as I know, you can't buy it directly from the site. The actual Decision Games site, I believe it is marked as sold out. Obviously, if you do want to play the game and you don't want to play this new module, you can quite happily play the old modules, which there's 2 Total Decree and Dice Sensor games. This one, this is updated and modified. I believe there were a few issues with the Daisensu game. It was the weak point, which they say they've addressed in the rules and stuff like that, but I can't comment on that. Okay, and I think we're pretty much ready to go with this monster.